Hi friends, welcome back to our chapter reading. We are continuing with The Legend of Diamond Lil by Doreen Cronin and illustrated by Kevin Cornell. Today we are jumping in at chapter 18. It's called Strange Company. The possum came out of the shadows confident and comfortable, despite the lurking figure of a 50-pound dog. Lillian looked around the yard and then stepped aside. "Make it quick, Ida," said Lillian, "and keep it quiet, will ya? Those chicks will sleep through just about anything, but Moosh is another story." There wasn't a hint of Georgia in her accent. The possum walked into the chicken coop like she owned it. Moosh had come up behind me and saw the same thing I did. She was trying to force her way past me. I muzzled her with my tail and kept her still. I could hear rustling and hissing from inside the coop. Moosh's eyes got as wide as I'd ever seen. The possum was tearing that place apart. I couldn't stand it anymore. Neither could Moosh. She ran over me across the yard and headed right toward Lillian. I caught up with her and got in between them. "Run, Ida!" Lillian yelled. So there's Lillian and Ida the possum, and then here's Moosh, freaking out, watching the whole thing. Ida came racing out of the coop and ran right past me. I didn't know Sugar was in the yard until I saw Ida swoop her up in her paws. "Let her go," I barked. "Not a chance," Ida answered. Lillian went nose to nose with Ida. "This wasn't our deal, Ida," she said. "Put the chick down." Sugar was now dangling from Ida's mouth, pale and breathing fast. If I pounced, Sugar was a goner. Lillian turned to me. "Listen, JJ," she said. "Just do what I say and everything will be fine." "I've wasted enough time listening to you," I said. Right then and there, it hit me like a ton of bricks. Since the first night I'd met her, she'd been trying to get me away from the chicken coop. There was the invitation for a midnight stroll and the wild goose chase to the back fence, and tonight she had convinced me to let her handle the night patrol, alone. I finally realized that Lillian had never set a paw in Bobby's house. There's Ida with a little chick in her mouth. She wasn't living next door, she was hiding there. I had been so busy tracking the shadow of a possum that I'd missed what was standing right in front of me. A big, white, shiny lie. Lillian didn't have a problem with her eyes, she had a problem with the truth. Chapter 19, Mama to Mama. "I'm just trying to help out my friend here, so you're gonna back off. You're gonna do what I say, and you're gonna let Ida Rose get what she came here for." Ida Rose. At least the name was real. We were at a standstill. "Everything's gonna be okay, little boo," said Moosh. "Mama's here." She was walking slowly toward Ida. Ida took Sugar out of her mouth and held her in her claws. "I'm not leaving until I get what I want," said Ida. Moosh was within an inch of Ida's face now. "That's my baby you have in your paws," said Moosh. There's Moosh going up against that possum. It's very brave of her. Ida was having a hard time looking Moosh in the eye. "I know what you really want," said Moosh. "Moosh," I said, "don't do it." She ignored me. "You're going to put Sugar down now, and you and I are going into the chicken coop." I made a move toward them, but Ida grabbed Sugar even tighter, and Moosh waved me off. "I'll handle this, JJ," said Moosh. "Ida Rose is going to put Sugar down now, and you're going to let her pass." "I don't know about this, Ida," said Lillian. "You've done enough damage," spat Moosh. I never thought I'd see a grown dog back down from an aging chicken, but this night was full of firsts. Lillian did what she was told. Ida let go of Sugar without ever taking her eyes off Moosh. I picked Sugar up with my teeth and held her there like a newborn pup. She was still shaking. "Me and Ida here are going to go into the chicken coop," said Moosh, "and we're going in alone." Chapter 20, The Longest Minute. The rest of the chicks had finally made their way out of the doghouse. I could tell by their faces that they had seen enough to be terrified. Inside the coop there was silence. If anything happened to Moosh, Lillian was going to answer for it. I was so tense I didn't think I could move if I wanted to. Moosh was one tough chicken, but I didn't know if she could survive a throwdown with a possum. I needed to hear something, anything, that would let me know what was going on in there and give me a chance to do something about it. A minute went by and still nothing. Finally, the first tiny sound slipped out of the chicken coop. "Achoo!" Click. "Achoo!" Click. "Achoo!" Click. Seconds later, I saw the single strangest thing I have ever seen. and I once saw a moose float past me in ladies' pajamas. I saw a chicken and a possum walk out of the coop side by side. Achoo! The tiny head of a young possum was sticking out of Ida's pouch. Click. Chapter 21, Old News. Ida Rose got separated from her little girl a few days ago, explained Lillian with tears in her eyes. How did you know she was in the coop? I asked. A baby possum sneezes to call for its mother, Ida Rose answered, and the mother clicks to answer it. We had both heard it, but I couldn't risk going in with you protecting the chickens. Ida turned to Moosh. Thank you for keeping her warm every night, she said. There were plenty of hay and plenty of food on the floor in the chicken coop. Moosh had actually been keeping the little thing warm every night the same way she kept her eggs warm, by sitting on top of her. So that mama chicken was taking care of that baby possum. The only difference was Moosh had no idea she was there. How did you know Ida wasn't going to hurt you? I asked Moosh. There's only one reason a possum would keep coming back to this yard with a dog hot on its trail. To protect her own, she said. I had Lillian's sunglasses around my neck and I felt like a fool. I wasn't even sure where to begin. You're not from Georgia, are you? I asked, even though I knew the answer. Lillian shook her head. She was having a hard time looking any of us in the eye. How'd you wind up keeping company with a possum? I asked Lillian. I met Ida Rose under the house next door, she explained. I'd been hiding there. We were both scared and alone, said Ida. I took a chance and asked the dog for help, and got it. Why didn't you just ask me for help? I asked. Ask you to help a possum? The upstairs light flipped on. So who are you? I asked. Nobody, Lillian said sadly. I'm nobody. I'll be going now, and never meant to cause any trouble. She's a fugitive, said a voice from the shadows. We all turned to see Vince walking toward us. He was carrying something in his mouth. He tripped over the garden hose and landed face down in front of the coop. The funnel was stuck in the loose ground, and his legs and tail were flailing out the top of the end. His muffled voice came out from under the funnel. She's a show dog, said Vince. A fugitive show dog. He placed his paw on the paper he dropped when he fell. Moosh has a much bigger heart than I do, and she pushed him over so he could get back to his feet. You'll be captured any minute now, Diamond Lil, cackled Vince, and that's all that matters. There's Vince all tangled up. The picture left no doubt. There was Lillian with a big smile on her face and a blue ribbon around her neck. So, here's a sign that says, Lost! Reward, reward, reward. Lillian, last seen September 12th outside our home in Princeton, New Jersey. Lillian is a 6-year-old Samoyed and a champion show dog. We miss her terribly. Please call Alex or email lostlillian@yahoo.com. So there's a flyer, and Vince had found the flyer. Chapter 22, There's No Place Like Home. The agility jumps, the beauty tips, the posture, I said it. It all makes sense now. You really are a champion show dog. No, said Lillian, shaking her head. Lillian, that's you in the picture, I said. It's time to stop lying. Yes, it's me, she said, but I'm no champion. It's you or isn't it? I said gruffly. That's not what I meant, she said. I meant I'm not actually lost. Nice try, beauty queen, said Vince. I ran away, she said. Why? I asked. I'm not a champion anymore. I stopped winning. I was hoping they didn't really care so much about the ribbons and the trophies, but I heard Alex on the phone one day trying to get rid of me. That's terrible, said Moosh. I left that day and I've been on my own ever since. Ida Rose was the first friend I'd made in a long time, and then I met you all. Moosh was shaking her head. I understand, Lillian said. I'm sorry I made all that stuff up. I don't deserve to be your friend. Why would they be looking for you if they didn't want you? To sell me, I guess, she said. Champions, even former champions, can go for a lot of money. Barb had heard all the commotion and was standing at the back door. "What's going to happen now?" asked Sugar. "I'm going to stop running," said Lillian. She picked up the lost notice in her teeth and walked across the yard directly under the bright light and right through the kitchen door. She was turning herself in. There wasn't a dry eye in the yard, except mine. Search and rescue dogs don't cry. But occasionally we get debris in our eyes, and then they water up a bit. Good thing I had those sunglasses. And there's Lillian going inside. Now this is called the epilogue, the end of the story. Barb did exactly what we knew she would do. She gave Lillian a good meal and a warm bed and then called the number on the lost flyer. It was true, Lillian hadn't won any ribbons lately, but Alex, her owner, didn't care about that. She'd been looking to find Lillian a new home because she was moving overseas to join the Peace Corps. She was just thrilled to know that Lillian was okay and insisted that Barb take the reward money. Barb, being Barb, donated it to the local animal shelter. After a long talk with Bobby's dad, Barb knew that Lillian had found the home she was meant to have. The family fixed up the doghouse and got her a great big fancy dog bed for the kitchen, and of course a doggy door. I gave her the doggy sunglasses as a welcome present. She wears them all the time. She doesn't need them really, but she says it's rude to turn down a gift. And there's Lillian with the sunglasses. All right, and that's it for this book. So join me back next time and we will start a brand new chapter book. I'm looking forward to it. See ya.